Hello, I'm Hope Logan. I am an actor on Bold and the Beautiful, and many people really love both me and our Bold and the Beautiful drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved Bold and the Beautiful. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The week of June 22nd through 26th on The Bold and the Beautiful is shaping up to be the kind of week that changes everything, as the long-simmering Logan Forrester feud finally explodes into something far more dangerous, personal, and impossible to contain. What began as rivalry is now on the verge of becoming all-out war, and the tension inside the fashion world of Los Angeles is about to boil over in a way no one will be able to ignore. Loyalties will be tested, secrets will come dangerously close to the surface, and every smile, every business move, and every carefully hidden truth will carry the weight of betrayal. At the center of it all is a collection no one was supposed to know about, a launch no one saw coming, and a decision by Hope Logan that could shatter the fragile peace between two families forever. As the countdown begins, emotions are running high on every side, and by the time the week reaches its climax, the fallout may be impossible to clean up. The Forresters are about to learn that the threat against them has been growing in the shadows, and when it finally steps into the spotlight, the shockwaves will hit every corner of their world. It all begins with a victory that makes Bill Spencer very happy. When Wyatt Spencer successfully delivers the hope for the future diamond, Bill is thrilled, and that excitement quickly turns into action. True to form, Bill wastes no time making sure Wyatt and Shauna Fulton's jewelry line deal moves forward, pushing the opportunity into reality with the kind of confidence only Bill can bring to the table. On the surface, it's a business win, a polished moment of forward momentum and possibility, but underneath that celebration, other complications are already brewing. Bill recognizes that Electra Forrester is going to face some competition, and he naturally assumes that Will Spencer's concerns would revolve around that professional rivalry. After all, Katie Logan Spencer has been building her business with serious ambition, and anyone paying attention can see that a jewelry line would be a logical part of her expanding vision. To Bill, it all looks like standard business maneuvering in a world where competition is part of survival. But what he doesn't fully grasp is that Will's anxiety may have very little to do with competition and everything to do with the dangerous secret he's carrying. Because Electra, unlike some of the others, isn't approaching any of this with bitterness or suspicion. She's actually excited for Will's new job, and in the days ahead, she'll genuinely wish the Logans success with their upcoming launch, offering support with an open heart and a good faith that makes the looming deception feel even crueler. Electra understands business, and she understands that people build brands, expand lines, and fight for relevance in the fashion world. What she doesn't know is that this isn't simply a matter of Logan ambition meeting Forrester resistance. Will has kept something from her, and it's the kind of secret that could strike directly at her family's trust. He hasn't told Electra that Katie poached yet another Forrester employee to make this launch happen. A move that transforms ordinary competition into something much more personal and much more unforgivable. If Electra knew that Will had been sitting on the truth while Hope was effectively stabbing Forrester in the back, her reaction would be very different. And once the hope for the future diamond enters the picture, tied to a brand with a deep Forrester history, the betrayal becomes even harder to excuse. This is no longer just about one business trying to outshine another. It's about secrets, divided loyalties, and the growing fear that Will's silence could end up hurting the people Electra loves most. Meanwhile, over at Forrester Creations, the atmosphere takes a sharp turn when Dottie Bright and Joseph Beasley make a trip to the CEO office and drop a bombshell no one in that room is prepared to hear. In a single stunning moment, they reveal that Logan's next collection is set to debut tomorrow. The words land like a thunderclap, freezing the room and sending disbelief across every face. Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan Forrester, R.J. Forrester, Zende Forrester Dominguez, and Daphne Rose Walton are all caught completely off guard, blindsided by the timing, the secrecy, and the sheer audacity of the move. It's not just the announcement itself that rattles them, it's what it implies. Somewhere behind the scenes, something has been happening without their knowledge, something big enough to produce an entire collection and bold enough to launch it with almost no warning. In that instant, the air inside the office becomes heavy with suspicion, confusion, and the first sparks of outrage. The room may still be standing, but the emotional ground underneath everyone has already begun to crack. And at the center of that storm is Hope, whose growing anxiety is becoming harder and harder to contain. For her, this is no longer just a professional gamble or a secret project racing toward the runway. It's a deeply personal crisis with the power to destroy her relationship with Brooke. Every step closer to the launch tightens the knot in her chest because Hope knows exactly what's at stake if the truth comes out before she's ready. She knows what it will look like. She knows what it will mean. She knows that once Brooke understands what she's done, once she realizes Hope's leave of absence was never truly what it seemed, there may be no way to explain it without causing real damage between mother and daughter. Katie, sensing the panic building inside her, does everything she can to keep Hope steady, trying to calm her nerves while also pushing forward with the frantic work of getting the collection ready for the runway in time. There's no room for hesitation now, no time to second-guess the path they've chosen. The launch is coming, the pressure is crushing, and Hope is trapped in that unbearable space between ambition and guilt, trying to hold herself together while the truth circles closer. That pressure only intensifies when Brooke and Katie have one last confrontation before the event, a moment charged with tension, suspicion, and all the unresolved strain that has been building between them. The emotional temperature rises instantly, and for Hope, the danger becomes immediate. Desperate to avoid being exposed, she once again uses the changing screen to hide, shrinking into the shadows like someone trying to escape the consequences of her own choices for just a little longer. It's a quiet but telling image, Hope concealed just feet away from the mother she can't bear to face, listening to every word, holding her breath, and hoping the truth doesn't find her before she can make it out. Somehow, she manages to slip away without Brooke discovering that she has been hired at Logan, and for one more fleeting moment, the secret survives. But there's no victory in that escape, only delay. The inevitable has not been prevented, it has merely been postponed. Hope may leave unseen, but the clock is still ticking, and with every passing hour, the truth is marching straight toward the spotlight. By the end of the week, the promised debut arrives, and with it comes the kind of spectacle designed to make an unforgettable impact. The collection doesn't emerge quietly. It bursts onto the scene with all the glamour, noise, and calculated excitement of a major fashion event. Influencers gather, photographers swarm, models move into position, and the atmosphere crackles with anticipation as the launch unfolds in full force. It's everything a splashy debut should be, polished and dazzling on the surface, with lights, cameras, and carefully curated momentum driving the event forward. But beneath the beauty and the buzz lies the real story, the one no amount of glitter can soften. Because the biggest splash of all won't come from the collection itself, it will come from the truth behind it. And when that truth finally surfaces, the runway won't just showcase fashion, it will expose deception. That's when the real shock hits. It comes out that Hope's leave of absence was a sham, a carefully maintained illusion that allowed her to walk away from Forrester without ever revealing what she was truly doing. She didn't simply step back. She essentially quit without telling the Forresters the truth, and all the while, she's been secretly working on this collection with Deacon Sharp behind the scenes. Suddenly, every unanswered question, every strange delay, every uneasy instinct starts to make sense, and the betrayal becomes impossible to deny. For the Forresters, this won't feel like a misunderstanding or a business disagreement. It will feel like a calculated act of disloyalty carried out in secret while they were left in the dark. Hope's hidden Logan connection will send shockwaves through the room and through the family, igniting anger that has been waiting for a reason to erupt. The emotional damage won't stop at the boardroom or the runway either, because this revelation reaches into old wounds, old rivalries, and the already fragile ties between the Logans and the Forresters. By the time the dust begins to settle, everyone will be forced to confront the same devastating truth. This fashion launch didn't just introduce a new collection, it lit the fuse on a war. And once that fuse is lit, there may be no stopping what comes next. The Foresters are left livid, not just because Hope kept a secret, but because the deception cuts to the heart of trust, legacy, and the family name they have spent years defending. Brooke will be forced to face the painful reality of what her daughter has done, and the emotional consequences of that discovery may hit just as hard as the business betrayal itself. Steffy and Ridge will no doubt see this as proof that the Logans have once again crossed a line, and in their eyes, Hope's actions may be the final confirmation that the battle between these families is far from over. What should have been a triumphant launch now becomes a powder keg of resentment, heartbreak, and fury, threatening to consume every relationship in its path. The week ahead promises not just drama, but a full-scale emotional detonation, one built on secrets, ambition, divided loyalties, and the devastating cost of choosing silence over honesty. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, fashion has always been about image, power, and legacy, but this time the runway is carrying something far more explosive. This time it's carrying the truth, and once it steps into the light, nothing will ever look the same again. And perhaps the most devastating part of all is that this betrayal won't stay contained within business headlines, fashion gossip, or one explosive runway reveal. It's going to hit where it hurts most, inside the fragile emotional bonds that have somehow survived years of rivalry, heartbreak, and family division. For Brooke, the pain won't simply come from learning that Hope kept a secret. It will come from realizing just how much her daughter felt she had to hide, how far this plan had gone, and how close they came to standing on opposite sides of a battle neither of them may have wanted to fight so personally. There is a special kind of heartbreak in discovering that someone you love has been living a double life right in front of you, smiling through family conversations while carrying a truth too dangerous to speak aloud. Brooke will be forced to look at Hope not only as her daughter, but as a woman who made a ruthless professional choice and then buried it beneath silence. That emotional collision between maternal love, personal disappointment, and family loyalty is what gives this reveal its real power. Because once Brooke sees the full picture, she may not be able to separate the daughter she wants to protect from the woman whose choices just helped ignite a war. For Steffy, however, the reaction is likely to come from a very different place, one shaped less by heartbreak and more by fury. To Steffy, this won't look like confusion or desperation or even ambition spiraling out of control. It will look like a deliberate betrayal, one more example of a Logan making moves in the shadows while the Foresters are left to deal with the damage after the fact. And that's what makes the coming fallout so dangerous, because Steffy has never been the kind of woman to quietly absorb a blow and move on. She fights back, and when she feels her family has been attacked, that fight becomes even more personal, even more relentless. Ridge, too, may see Hope's deception as something far larger than one secret collection, because from his perspective, this is about the integrity of the Forester name and the trust that has now been broken behind closed doors. What Hope may have justified as a necessary risk could easily be viewed by the Foresters as calculated sabotage dressed up in couture and diamonds. And once that interpretation takes hold, every old grievance between these families will come rushing back to the surface with a vengeance. That is what makes the end of this week feel so explosive, not just because a secret comes out, but because the truth arrives at the exact moment when emotions are already stretched to their limit. The launch itself is meant to celebrate reinvention, boldness, and a new chapter, yet the emotional reality underneath it is far messier and far more painful. Hope's collection may step into the spotlight looking polished, elegant, and triumphant, but behind every design is the shadow of what she concealed to get there. Behind every camera flash is the knowledge that she built this moment while keeping Brooke in the dark and leaving the Foresters unaware of what was unfolding around them. That contrast between beauty and betrayal is what gives the entire story its cinematic force. The runway becomes more than a runway. It becomes a stage for exposure, where image and truth collide in front of everyone at once. And in true bold and the beautiful fashion, the moment that should have marked success instead becomes the spark that threatens to burn everything down. Even Will's silence takes on a heavier weight as the week unfolds, because secrets rarely belong to only one person once they begin to spread. His choice not to tell Electra the full truth may have seemed manageable at first, perhaps even necessary in the moment, but silence has a way of turning into guilt when the consequences begin to arrive. The deeper this situation goes, the harder it becomes to ignore the fact that keeping Electra in the dark may wound her in ways competition never could. It's one thing to face a rival jewelry line, a new launch, or a business challenge. It's something entirely different to discover that someone close to you knew your family was being undermined and said nothing. That is the kind of revelation that doesn't just create tension, it fractures trust. And when trust starts to fracture across multiple relationships at once, the emotional damage multiplies fast, leaving everyone to question not only what happened, but who they can still believe. Meanwhile, Katie's role in all of this only adds another layer of combustible tension to an already volatile situation. She may be doing everything she can to keep Hope calm, focused, and committed to the launch, but in doing so, she also becomes one of the central architects of the secret that is about to detonate. Her determination to push the collection forward, to protect Hope's nerves, and to keep the plan moving at all costs creates the sense of a woman who has already accepted the risk and is too far in to turn back now. There's urgency in every move she makes because she knows the runway isn't just a runway anymore, it's a deadline, a point of no return. Once the collection debuts, there will be no more hiding behind changing screens, no more slipping quietly out of rooms before Brooke can ask the right question, and no more pretending that this was simply a leave of absence. Katie may be trying to hold the operation together, but she also knows the storm waiting on the other side of success, and that storm is coming fast. So as the week barrels toward its climax, the bold and the beautiful promises the kind of drama that thrives on emotional contradiction, triumph wrapped in betrayal, ambition tangled with guilt, celebration poisoned by secrecy. The Logan Forrester feud isn't just heating up, it's transforming into something rawer, more personal, and far more destructive than a simple business rivalry. By the time Hope's hidden connection to Logan is exposed, the room won't just be shocked, it will be changed. Relationships will be tested, old loyalties will harden, and every character caught in the blast radius will have to decide where they stand when the dust finally begins to fall. And that may be the most gripping part of all, because once the secret is out, the story doesn't end there. That's when the real reckoning begins. The applause, the lights, the glamour of the launch, none of it will matter as much as the silence that follows when the Forresters realize exactly what Hope has done, and the war between these families enters a dangerous new chapter.